There's one thing that bugs me about, and well, it doesn't necessarily bug me. I need to be more informed because I don't see it the same way as others. You're a progressive left person, right?
I mean, the labels are not always, those particular labels I find are not the most useful. If you want to put a label, I would say if you were to call me a socialist, I would accept that, yeah? Especially now, like not permanently and forever, but in this day, looking around, I would say socialist policies are what we need. You know, the left and right thing is getting way out of whack.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think it's useful very much anymore. Progressive even has gone way out of whack.
Some of what I was talking about in my column too. But just for this line of questioning, anti-racist.
Sure.
Gender respectful.
Of course.
Not an ageist.
Well, no, I mean, all those things are goals, right?
Yeah.
All those things are goals. I have those as goals. It's always a process, right?
So it seems like there's people out there that think that it's okay to rail against old white guys who normally would defend respect and balance for genders, age, and race. Why is it okay for old white guys to be vilified?
So what do you mean? Who's vilifying old white guys? Give me an example.
Well,
I don't see too much of that. I see vilification.
You're
I don't
not
see
on Twitter, I guess.
No, I'm not.
I see a lot of people turn to that old white guy thing, and that devalues our input. And
I don't know what you mean. I don't know.
You don't see any of that?
Well, I mean, we live in a world where people are judgmental. We live in a world where people say blah, blah, blah about whoever. I know I see certain tropes, like certain things that happen a lot that I hear a lot.
Yeah.
Right? Mostly what I hear is people complaining about other people complaining, right? Why? Oh, you think the system isn't working for you? Oh, you're such a crybaby. That's usually what I hear.
Oh, okay.
You know? That's what I hear is what I usually hear. I'm not on Twitter and stuff. What I usually hear is either people agreeing that the system works better for certain people than others. And you know, we are talking about straight white men. Usually I either the circle where people agree that straight white men system probably works the best for them, right? Not everybody's the same straight white man. It's not a monolith, a lot of different kinds of people. But if you were talking about who is the system geared towards helping the most, and it's never going to be perfect. It's never going to be equal opportunity for everybody across the board. But if we look to the snapshot of time and place right now, including probably the last 100 years, I don't know, can't go, you know, I've only been alive for whatever. Who's the system working for the best? And it probably is straight white men. I got to admit, as a straight white man myself and one who's getting older, you know, I did not face a lot of the same barriers. I have faced a lot of barriers, and I had to work hard. I'm not taking away my own work and my own merit, you know. But I do recognize that I was kind of born on third base, yeah, or second base at least. And if I had born poor, as a straight white man amongst the poor people, you know, I probably would have been born on first base. You know, my opportunities are just that much wider than maybe somebody else's. Or I walk into the room and people have a certain attitude towards me right away, where if I look different or whatever, I might not get that same reaction. Knocking on doors as a municipal candidate, you know, I would be lying right away. So I walk there, they see what looks like a male presenting, straight, cisgender, blah, blah, blah. You know, that's probably as far as making a first impression at the door, as someone not questioning your motives and not having some other baggage in their mind of thinking, who is this person and why are they here? I mean, that's how I view it. I do view it that way. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe a system works equally for everybody. And I don't think that's what you're saying. You don't think the system works equally for everybody.
I think the system is flawed for sure.
I'm not saying that it could be perfect. Yeah. Do I think it could be more even playing field? Absolutely, especially as it relates to poverty, but also all those other things that you mentioned.
Well, I think what I'm just getting at is that people pushing for change for the better, I hear a lot of them pushing back and reversing the prejudice as a way of gaining. I don't see
that much. I mean, there's straight white men all around me, right? And I don't feel like they walk around town thinking that people don't like them or that they're out together or that everyone's talking smack about old white people. I don't get that vibe in the community.
Okay.
Now, young woman, I've seen it a million times where a young woman says something in a room of mixed companies, for lack of a better term, and it's clear that their message has not been received the same way if I had said it. I've seen that a million times. I've seen it so many times, it's not just an accident. You know, especially when you're dealing with older people, especially when you're dealing with older white men. I mean, let's be honest. They have lived in a world where young women didn't participate necessarily in that way. So it's a little strange for them. And sometimes it takes a little, even if it's that millisecond. I'm not saying that they don't like that person or they wish that person wasn't in the room, but they're not starting on the same footing that I am when I go into the room and I start talking to the old straight white man, you know? Anyways, that's my take on it. I don't see, if I felt like the world was coming for a old straight white man, I'll carry the sign and say, protect the rights of old straight white men any day, I'll carry that sign. Nah, I think we're ways away from getting to that point.
No, I don't even actually think it's that.
But that's my point.
Really
if that's
point.
true, if people are coming for them and they're being discriminated against and not being allowed to participate in the society in the same way as other people, I'll have their back too.
No,
you know
what I really was getting at and I probably didn't articulate it very well, is that the only way forward is inclusiveness and respect for all, and that includes old white
Definitely.
straight guys.
Oh, definitely.
Right? So
definitely, but it's about balance, right? So we're talking same thing about the meritocracy and all the other thing. It's about balance. Nobody thinks that BIPOC people or racialized people are better than white people, or worse, or anything else. Nobody is saying that. Nobody's saying elevate these people above these people. Nobody is saying that. Nobody's coming for the old white man. But we are saying, people like me are saying, it's not quite balanced yet. The playing field is not equal. And so to say everybody's equal, let's forget all that.
No,
we're not there yet.
Yeah, and we won't get there.
Well, we may. Who knows? I hope we will, but maybe not.
Well, we won't if the old white guys are kept out of the solution, because those are the ones that are going to help make the change quicker, I think, if you can convince them.
Take a look at the way people vote. We know demographics, who votes for who, right? I'm kind of like, of course, there are so many old straight white guys, presuming the kind of guy that you were talking about, that support the things that I'm talking about, right? And support my point of view and socialist policies. There's lots of them, right? But overwhelmingly, that is not the group of people who are seeing the world the way I see the world. They're usually seeing the world where I like it the way it is, and let's not change it too much. And if we do change it, then it should change towards me, That's usually, the Conservative Party, the old straight white man, I'm sure you can go online, Google that, whatever, people watching this. Maybe I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I apologize to the old straight white guy. But they overwhelmingly vote Conservative. Yeah, and Conservatives are, by definition, trying to preserve the way things were.
Seems like they're gaining a lot of, attracting a lot of young, angry white guys too.
Yeah, young straight white guys too. Yeah, definitely. But that's the Pierre Poilievre side, the fringe side.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the mainstream conservatives. That's mainstream conservatism is the base of mainstream conservatism is older, white, straight, probably Christian-ish people. But maybe I'm wrong with that, and if I'm wrong, correct me, fact check, people of North Bay.
More than likely, I'm wrong.
But
it was just a topic that bugs me.
It would be great.
I see a lot of people that talk about being progressive, but they beat down on one segment, which is vilified and maybe advantaged more than others, and don't want to change as fast as others.
Yeah.
But any grouping of people based on the race, age, and whatnot, and sex, gender, is not helping matters.
Well, generalizations are by definition not 100% right? But when you're trying to figure out what's happening in the world, generalizations can be helpful. When you're talking about really big picture stuff, right? You're talking about macro, how do we organize society level things? You need censuses, right? You need demographics. You need to understand what people are thinking and doing, right? And so in that sense, demographics is important. If you're trying to make a fairer, more just, more efficient society, then you do have, because you're saying there's a lot of people that you could reach with your message if you tone down the anti-racist stuff. I think that's a subtext, right?
Yeah, but more of an inclusive sort of conversation and dialogue thing.
To me, those conversations are always inclusive. I've never once ever sat in a group of anti-racist people or groups of people who are trying to promote rights for queer, trans people or women or anything else, BIPOC people. I've never once heard them, let's take the other guy down. Let's bring straight white men to lower than us. Nobody says that, right? So all of those anti-racist conversations and all the other things, they are conversations about keeping everybody on the same plane, including straight white men. They're not conversations about getting, now all of a sudden we have the balance of power and they don't. Ha ha ha, we've flipped it on them. I don't see that happening in those conversations. Maybe on Twitter, I don't know, I'm not there.
Yeah, Twitter's just one.
In the real world of those types of activists, nobody's saying that. Not that I've ever seen. Maybe it's because I'm the straight white guy in the room, I don't know. But I do not get that vibe.
I always try to figure out what's motivating an obstacle such as change. And I look at, well, I thought there was an opportunity in the 90s where things were really looking like color was going to be less of an issue.
Me too.
Opportunity.
Queer and trans people were starting to be able to live freely. There was a lot happening there. Gay marriage. I was on the Hill the day that was passed. There was a lot happening on that level that was really hopeful, for sure, in the 90s.
What happened? It seemed like...
Newton, right? Every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. I don't know. I'm confused by the political world, right? I'm 42, turned 42 this summer. The lines are not where they used to be. The world is changing. I don't know. I don't know how to motivate change. I ran an election. I made a case that I thought was 100% rational. I firmly believed that the New Democrats had the best platform for the people of this, not necessarily for the people of Canada, well, for sure for the people of Canada, but definitely for the district of Nipissing, for this people in this community. I said, this is exactly what they keep telling me. Everybody keeps phoning me and saying, we need to invest in housing, we need to deal with climate change, we need to do all the things that I can't afford my medication, I can't afford my dental, blah, blah, blah. Well, here you go. And we had the most reasonable fiscal plan. People talk about fiscal responsibility. That's a two-edge, right? Revenue, spending. The NDP's plan was the most fiscally responsible of anybody's because they were planning massive investments, but also massive new revenue from targeting the very top. It was like my dream, my fantasy was to go take that platform. I've been living my whole life waiting to sit on the stage and look at a liberal who, I don't have any disrespect for anything he wrote personally, but it represents something to me. It represents that roadblock to actually helping people's lives. It really does.